Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got a post here from ChainSpect, and I thought I'd do this one free flow because it's been a while since I've been able to just put my thoughts out freely, so I just want to do this one in free flow. So we've got a post here from ChainSpect, and they say, did you know Hedera's max recorded throughput is over 11 times higher than Ethereum's? At 16,199 TPS, Hedera has reached performance levels few public networks ever reach. Scalable infrastructure is exactly what fast, secure, and compliant dApps need. Okay, very, very impressive here. So there's just one thing I'm going to throw in here, just a little caveat. But once I've actually explained that caveat, I'm going to tell you why it doesn't matter. So first and foremost, you can see here there's an image and it says here max TPS 1 block. Hedera max TPS is 11 times higher than Ethereum's max TPS. So here we've got Hedera with 16,199 as earlier stated, and then we've got Ethereum with 1,423. So clear winner here, right? There's no even question about this, not even close. So, okay, the thing that I want to just get into here is just the caveat that I was explaining earlier. So I'm going to explain this, but just understand that even when I'm explaining this, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's just something I want to point out to you guys, right? Okay, so if you think about it, right, what's the usual TPS that Hedera boasts? It's usually 10,000 TPS, right? So this is a lot higher than what you would typically even hear Hedera talk about. So you might be thinking, oh, that's interesting because that's even higher than, they normally, advertise themselves. So the thing that I want to say with this, right, 16,199 TPS, obviously impressive, right? But the thing that you've got to understand with this is the way they probably got to this level of TPS is probably in a test environment. And the reason why that matters is because if you're in a test environment, you can basically kind of tailor the environment in which it's trying to reach that TPS. And so you can basically kind of make it in a very best case ideal scenario, right? So it's kind of like, it doesn't have to be a real world example. It can be like, okay, let's set it up so it can maximize its throughput and, everything's going smoothly, etc. There's no issues or anything like that, no bugs or anything, blah, blah, blah. And so you're putting it in kind of like a very dream case, best case scenario. And that's probably why it was able to hit that kind of level, right? So I will be honest with you, would it be able to hit that as just standard? I would probably say not, especially if Hedera are themselves saying, 10,000 themselves. That would to me indicate that when they've tested it under just normal circumstances, like your general day-to-day activity type of services, 10,000 was probably the best that they were getting in that kind of environment. So it's probably a thing of them not wanting to advertise it too high maybe, because if obviously it doesn't reach that in its normal day-to-day activity, well then people might feel like they've been deceived, right? It might be a thing of them saying, well, you've said it can get this high, but it just never reaches that kind of thing. So that's probably what it is. Now, I will be honest in saying this here. This is just my own speculation. I don't know for sure. But let me just say why that doesn't matter. The reason why that doesn't matter is because even if that's the case, Ethereum's is going to have been done in a test-based environment as well. So when it's hitting 1,423, that's probably in a best case scenario as well in a test environment. So even in its best case scenario, it's nowhere near Hedera, right? And there's a lot of networks where they do things like this. So just understand, like if you see other networks where they say, oh, this network can hit this much TPS and it seems higher than what you would normally hear, that kind of thing, it's probably being done in a test environment. So a lot of these networks do kind of go off of that, but it might not really be like, yes, it can reach that, but is it realistically going to be able to like deliver that day in, day out kind of thing? That's the real question, right? And so Hedera is still, miles above many other networks regardless, because as I say, some of these networks are boasting with figures that are not really that realistic anyway. So, even if we go with a 10,000 TPS, there's many networks that can't achieve that. So Hedera is still way ahead anyway, right? Because, even if it goes down, these other networks will go down as well. So for me, we know the deal with Ethereum, guys. I don't have to keep repeating it, but to me, I think Ethereum's days in terms of like, look, I'm not saying it's going to go extinct, but I think its days are numbered now. I was watching a video, I can't remember who it was, but it was about, Ethereum in general. And like, there's been a lot of stuff going on with Ethereum lately where like some of the people from the foundation have left, and, a lot of Banks have been like, taking money out of the Ethereum ETFs. They've been withdrawing from them. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not just Ethereum, so I'm not just trying to, say it's only Ethereum here, but in terms of like them having members from their foundation leave and stuff like that, that is specific to Ethereum. And I think part of the reason why apparently this was happening is because originally there was making a big focus on layer 2s, and what they've now kind of come to realize is, okay, we was doing all this stuff about layer 2s, but realistically, if you really want a network that's going to be heavily, adopted for the long term, you don't want to really be focusing on layer 2s because you want the layer 1 to work, right? So if you're having to keep like slapping layer 2s on stuff to get it to work, efficiently, it's like, well, that's not great, because it's like you're always having to, create add-ons to support it, right? Why do that when you could go to a layer 1 like Hedera, for example, where it works at the base layer, right? You haven't got to put a layer 2 on Hedera. You can get the best service out of Hedera at its layer 1 at its core, right? And so I think what's happened is, like, as they've started to move away from this, the foundation members have kind of like started to kind of drop out. But I think it's this thing of realizing that they're going to struggle because, yes, okay, again, they've got that first mover advantage. Understood, we get it. But when you start to look now, okay, well, what's the actual network that's going to be the most, the most ideal to use, the most efficient, the least expensive, right? These kinds of things are going to come into question at some point. And I think when that starts to, be unveiled, that's when people will start to realize, okay, yes, Ethereum have got the user base right now, but we're going to go where it's going to be the cheapest and the fastest to use, of course. So over time, I do think Ethereum's days are numbered, and I think this is where you're starting to see that kind of momentum starting to shift now. So yeah, I thought I'd share this with you guys. Really impressive with Hedera anyway, just to see that it can reach that. That is still good to see, regardless of if it's a test environment or not. And as I say, even if we take it back to the original 10,000 TPS, many networks can't achieve that. So that already says a lot for Hedera. Real great stuff, man. Like, really impressive. And once again, just showing you why Hedera is a top tier network. So this is what you're seeing now long term. You can see the data here, and this wasn't data done by Hedera. This is just by a neutral third party, and they're just giving you the data. They're just giving you the facts, right? This isn't like a bias or anything like that. They're just telling you as it is. This is what the data shows. So once again, you've got the information right there for you to see, and it's completely, it's not manipulated or anything like that. It's just 100% facts. That's it, raw data. Great stuff. Once again, really impressive. So hope you like this, guys. Just another reason to be bullish on Hedera's long-term future. Very great here to see, and looks very promising. Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to like and subscribe so you can be updated for future HBAR content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be alerted on when I do drop a new video. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you all on the next one.